between Versailles Road and Nicholasville Road, Harrodsburg Road right in the middle of that. And that's going to continue to work its way in, and that is likely large hail again. Man, this has been 8 straight days where we've had at least some threat of strong and severe thunderstorms. What a week. And now we're into that holiday weekend when a lot of folks would like to be doing something outdoors, and Mother Nature just continues to crash the party. So Nicholasville to downtown Lexington, a very intense severe thunderstorm is working its way through. This is causing some power outages, already getting a lot of reports of power outages from where this storm came through. And this is going to impact, this will have much more of an impact, I say, or he says, on Fayette County than what that storm last Sunday evening had. That was a little farther south. This one is a little more north, and again, centered on top of Keene. Harrodsburg, you're getting hammered as well. Show you some video or some pictures. We've got video from Lawrenceburg from a little bit ago, and that storm made its way on through. Looks like marble-sized hail with that on the video there. You can see it, how it's covering the ground. But yeah, the storm, I think, now is a little stronger than what we were dealing with by the time that storm was making its way into Anderson County. So it's flexing up yet again. Back to the radar picture. Jim, let's go to Harrodsburg. Let's take a little trip down 68. We'll go toward Mercer County and northern parts of Boyle County, because you've got this severe thunderstorm that is between Danville and Harrodsburg, right on top of 127. It's small, but it is potent. That is likely spitting out damaging winds and large hail right on top of Harrodsburg, the Bergen area. That is going to head toward the northeast. So if you're in Bryantsville, you're in northern parts of Garrett County, if you got the opportunity right now to get the car in the garage, yeah, it would be a good time to do just that. And that storm, if it holds together, would then cross over Garrett County into southern parts of Jessamine County and right on into northern parts of Madison County, where they are still picking up the pieces from 110-mile-per-hour winds a week ago this evening. So here's that initial complex of strong and severe thunderstorms, and I see the third storm behind that has a warning with it into Marion County, southwestern parts of Mercer County, and northwestern sections of Boyle County, into Washington County too. New severe thunderstorm warning coming out. That includes Fayette County, that includes Jessamine County, Madison County, far southern parts of Bourbon County, and gets over into Winchester, Clark County. We're now under that severe thunderstorm warning. So the northern half of Madison County, the same area where we were devastated essentially a week ago, now with the potential for severe thunderstorms to work their way back into these areas. And the worst of the weather is essentially right on top of downtown Lexington, between Lexington and Nicholasville, and that thing is going to continue to roll its way toward the east. We can go back to that sky cam. I want to see what that shelf cloud is looking like as it does get into Lexington, because our tower cam's 300 feet up. So it gives us a great view of the cloud that is coming at us. And there you go. You can see the leading edge of this. That's once this cloud gets over top of you, the winds are going to really crank. You're going to see the lightning bolts that will likely come underneath this cloud and behind it. And then the winds and the hail and the rain will really take hold as that continues to roll its way across the Lexington area. So
already confirmed 58-mile-per-hour gust out at the airport here in Lexington.
So 58 miles per hour at Bluegrass Airport already. So you're pushing 60 miles per hour with confirmed winds here in Lexington. That's going to cause some damage. We're going to have power outages into Fayette County and surrounding counties over the next little bit. So keep that in mind. Anderson County, where the storm hit about a half hour or so ago with the worst of it, a little more than 2,000 customers without power. And Jim, the leading edge of this, boy, you can really see where the footprint of the rain here coming in with this storm. So watching the base of that cloud, maybe lowering just a little bit, and that would be right on the leading edge of that. That's something we'll keep a close eye on. And this is the benefit, Jim, of having a tower cam that is 300 feet up.
Right, because we have a great perspective to be able to see that far out and get you a great synopsis on what's happening with some of those thunderstorms when they approach our area like that. So what we're seeing is that complex moving through Lexington right now, as I mentioned a minute ago, right at severe thunderstorm criteria with those winds at nearly 60.
Getting a report of widespread extensive wind damage in Anderson County where the storm originated. And I noticed, Jim, they tagged the severe thunderstorm in Lexington with tornado possible.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's what we're looking at, and again, this tower cam gives us the great view. If we are to get anything that would go up, we can go back to that tower cam because you can see how the base of that cloud has lowered just a little bit, and that would be on the south side. It's what we're looking at here. We're looking toward the southern sky there, Jim.
And if you're going to see it, as he said, that's exactly where we'll see something kind of drop down. Sometimes you get in heavy rain situations where you can't see quite as clear. And this is certainly one of those cases where this is producing some very heavy rain, or they call them high precipitation thunderstorm complexes.
Yeah, we're up to 59 miles an hour out at the airport
There
now.
we go. So officially up to 59 now.
Yeah, you're essentially pushing 60 miles an hour. And as I like to say all the time, the odds that the strongest winds have hit that one little wind gauge are very, very rare,
right.
Very slim, right?
Right, because you've got a wide area. So, but the fact that we're getting that suggests that some of the winds all around it could be even worse than that. That's what we can, of course, put together from that assessment alone with those thunderstorms.
It's interesting to watch the base of that cloud lowering a little bit. So let us go in here. And then we're going to go right on into this particular part of the storm. We'll hit the now on the radar and keep it as current as we can because we want to go in and just look and see what we are seeing inside that. If we're dealing with any kind of rotation, but it may not be a strong rotation, but boy, the winds are likely, you can see by the bright greens there, those winds are howling as of right now and likely giving us, between 60 and 70 miles per hour. So that is what is coming right on top. Already produced 59 miles an hour out at Bluegrass Airport. And Jim, they weren't in the strongest part of the storm. It was south of them. So the strongest part of the storm right now with wind damage is coming across the Nicholasville Road area. It's going to head across Tates Creek Road, Alumni, Richmond Road, and into sections of the Hamburg Pavilion area coming up within the next couple of minutes. So batten down the hatches, wind damage, a strong likelihood on the south side of Lexington with this particular storm that continues to make its way on in. And the lightning is just absolutely off the charts with this, and that's going to continue. That's why that new severe thunderstorm warning is out into Madison County and over into sections of Clark County as well.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're tracking out there. We're just kind of reassessing and putting the radar back together. I was checking for some new reports. Nothing new coming out officially, but we've already dealt with a near 60 mile per hour gust out there at the airport, and then you've got even more. And look at the way that's all just kind of channeling together.
Yeah,
out there.
And where we are, we're looking toward the southern sky right now, Jim, and that's, it's on the south side of Lexington where the worst of the storm is. So the leading edge of this is essentially right here in terms of the damaging wind. So this would be the leading edge of that severe thunderstorm. And, again, we're going to watch the base of this just to see if there's any kind of spin showing up. We're getting some rain on our tower cam now, which obviously hinders our view, but boy, that's what we're dealing with, and likely 60 to 70 miles per hour right under the core of this severe thunderstorm on the south side of Lexington. That is going to cause some issues where it's leaving behind widespread power outages. And Jim, I can't imagine we're not going to see the same across Lexington.
It's going to happen, absolutely, when you get this kind of wind in here. Just getting a report fresh out of Versailles in Woodford County, some trees down. They're starting to show up there, numerous power lines down inside the Versailles city limits. So they're certainly experiencing. Of course, they had a rough little go-around with that thunderstorm a little while ago. Same one passing through parts of Fayette County now.
Yeah, and
north of it here, and continuing to read reports coming in from the National Weather Service. Woodford County now has multiple reports of trees down across the county, as well as power lines down in the Versailles city limits. So, and then Anderson County continues to come in very, very hard. I want to zoom in here and show you exactly where the TV station here is at WTVQ, because we can absolutely hear it pounding on the roof up above us, and it's rather some very big raindrops or even getting some hail here out ahead of the main hail core here on the eastern side of Fayette County as well. So again, this is where we are watching. This severe storm is right over top of Fayette County, and this runs until 5:15. So we have another 45 minutes on this warning as it continues to track off towards the east, slightly northeast. So again, the greatest hail potential right now is across the Southland area, the Tates Creek area, down to Jonestown, back to South Elkhorn as well. So if you're driving along Harrisburg Road, Versailles Road, Tates Creek Road, and getting close to Richmond Road, and eventually here Winchester Road, if you're watching this maybe in a restaurant, in a retail store, anywhere inside of your house, if you have plans to travel outside right now, don't. Stay where you're put. Absolutely do not try to head outside right now in this type of weather. This is a very serious situation that we are seeing here into portions of the Fayette County area. Again, right on top of us here into the Lexington metro. And then we're seeing additional clusters really begin to line up back off towards the west as well. But again, our main focus, look at all the lightning as well. Man, oh man, Fayette County right now, we are seeing just a tremendous amount of lightning along with torrential rain and hail and damaging winds that are in excess of 70 miles an hour. So again, we are getting here. Pretty much every inch of Fayette County right now is under the gun here for that considerable severe thunderstorm, which is 70+ mile-an-hour winds and hail that can be upwards of 1.5 inches. That is just over quarter size. And again, I don't know if my microphone is picking up anything, but it sounds like our roof is getting ready to come off right now. It is absolutely pounding us here on the east side of Lexington. You can hear the winds that are absolutely howling outside and very hard drops that we hear outside. Again, I'm not sure if that is hail or if that is just heavy rain. If maybe somebody in the back, if somebody in the newsroom can maybe go outside and check and see what exactly we're dealing with outside. Don't go outside, of course, but maybe look out the window and see, because again, it's really, really pounding us here on the east side of Lexington. So hopefully we do not take any power hits as well. If we do, we are on a generator, so we should be able to stay on the air with you. But again, this considerable severe thunderstorm warning has been extended, again, like I mentioned, into portions of northern Madison County, over here into portions of Clark County as well. I'm going to go back over here and look at a couple more things behind the scenes, see if we have any more reports from the National Weather Service, and see exactly what we are dealing with. We have dime-sized hail at the summit here in Lexington. So here, really north central portions of Fayette County, we have dime-sized hail. That is from our own meteorologist, Dylan Godet, just sent in that picture. So if you can do so safely, we would love to see your pictures at the moment, if you can do so safely. Again, don't put yourself in harm's danger to give us pictures. And looking down towards the south as well, I mentioned this earlier, we really need to be watching these storm clusters that are starting to fire up here in the portions of Adair County. They're just northeast of Columbia and right on top of Liberty there in Casey County as well. Now, I do want to show you velocity here for our storm into Fayette County. You can see that we are dealing with some broad rotation here, likely right over top of the I-75 corridor right now. So maybe if you're watching this from the Athens-Boonesboro exit down towards the Clays Ferry exit, again, if you're traveling right now, it's not a good time to be out on the roadways just because of a number of different reasons. And if we also go to our severe thunderstorm, we do see that we do have an extension to our severe thunderstorm watch. This now includes all of our viewing areas. This includes every single county in the state of Kentucky. This will run tonight through 10 p.m. So we can see the extension of that severe thunderstorm watch. That runs until 12 a.m. My bad. That runs until 12 a.m. So again, let's get you back to radar. And again, just what we're hearing here on top of our station, I am sure that my microphone is picking up some of this right now because it is pounding us, and I highly doubt that we are only seeing rain here into the east side of Lexington, because it sounds like it's more like rocks that are hitting the top of our station and a thunder that continues to shake the building as well. So this storm, again, it is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning. We're going to stay with you until we can get this out of Fayette County. This is our most populated county in our viewing area. So if you're tuning into ABC and expecting to be watching the WNBA playoffs right now, we do apologize. But when we have a serious and potentially life-threatening weather situation, it is our number one motto to stay safe here and keep you guys safe at home. And we're going to do just that, because this is a very, very intense thunderstorm that is into Fayette County and extending. You can see it's extending back off here into eastern Jessamine County, northern portions of Boyle County, Garrett County, and eventually will be making its way off to the Richmond area as well. So we are continuing to watch this thing move through, and without a doubt, it is very, very strong right now here on the east side of Lexington. It looks like, just looking out the windows, we do have at least some portions of small hail at the moment, and the winds are very, very, very strong. So again, you do not want to be out driving in this situation whatsoever. So if you are out on the road right now, maybe you're listening to us with one of our radio partners, or you have our live stream up on WTVQ.com, try to pull off the road until this begins to pass, because this is a very dangerous situation. 70+ mile-an-hour winds and hail, again, that is upwards of 1.5 inches in diameter, plus a ton of lightning. We're continuing to see those warnings there. The National Weather Service is extending them off well off to the east to give everyone plenty of kind of leeway and headway to be able to prepare for these warnings. And again, and if we are seeing any bit of circulation, it is here into portions of southern Fayette County. This is not a tornado warning. This is just a considerable severe thunderstorm warning, but it does have that potential tornado possible tag on it. And just additional updates from the National Weather Service says we have on Harrisburg Road and New Circle area here in Lexington reports of dime-sized hail, high winds, and power that is flickering. And also coming out of the for sales area said somebody called in to the National Weather Service, said they reported about 10 trees that are snapped in half, some uprooted, said the backyard looks like a disaster that is near Versailles. So as these storms begin to make their way out of your area, after it's safely to do so, if you can send in reports and pictures, that way we would love it. But we do not want you going outside in any shape, form, or fashion right now while these storms continue to just hound us to death here in central Kentucky. So I want to pull up that hail core one more time, and yeah, we can see that hail core is right on top of the Lexington Metro. Here is, we are on the east side of Lexington here at WTVQ. Right here is exactly where we are, and that hail core is pretty much moving right on top of us at the moment. So again, if once this storm passes, we'll have to go outside and see exactly what we're dealing with here. We don't want to do so right now because we want everybody to be safe. But again, let's call out some of these individual roads. So over from Richmond Road and Winchester Road and along I-75 right now, it is not good conditions to be traveling in right now, because you have, again, this hail core, which we're seeing hail upwards of just almost 1.5 inches in diameter. So we're still seeing that, and if anything, it's starting to, that hail core is starting to expand just a little bit. So again, this is just a large portion of Fayette County that is unfortunately the prime spot right now for this severe storm, as we continue to track it off towards the east. So we will send you back to regular scheduled programming at this time as we continue to watch this thing go off. But of course, if we get any additional
for Westland Park, Forest Park, Winchester 501. It's coming right your way in the next 10 minutes or so. Ruckerville 518 and Pilot View 523. So this is those areas in Clark County that it's working towards right now. But also, as Justin was mentioning, we're tracking this stronger storm in northern portions of Garrett, crossing into Madison County as well, working through Nicholasville. Now, I have seen several reports of quarter-size hail in the Hamburg area, and it also looks like we were seeing quarter-size hail in Harrodsburg, I believe. I'm going to step off really quick just to double-check that. That was sent to me, but we definitely have quarter-size hail falling in the Hamburg area this evening so far as this storm is working its way through. And then we have a report from a viewer of quarter-size hail in Harrodsburg, and that is from, let me see, one of our viewers, Tobin Barlow. He just sent that in to us and has some pictures for us too, so hopefully we can try to get those on air eventually as well. So, and this storm is continuing to work off to the east, so we'll continue to watch that. And of course, if you can do so safely, send us those reports. You can email our newsroom, news@fox56news.com, or tag myself or Justin Esterly on Twitter and Facebook. We love to see those reports and continue to share those with our viewers. But again, that's if you can do so safely. Let's go ahead and put another tracker on this really quick. I want to try to include more areas here that if we can. Mount Zion 5 o'clock, Bloomingdale 508, Doylesville 509, and Union City 511. This is working its way off to the east towards you. And as we've been talking about, there is that threat for some hail with this. Again, it pretty much confirmed in portions of Fayette County. We've seen the quarter-size hail. So that same story as this continues to work off to the east towards portions of Clark County and back into northern portions of Madison County. That is all on the table for you guys as well. Justin?
Yeah, and we're going to continue to see with this storm some very strong winds. The main reason we have the severe thunderstorm warning in the first place is because of the front edge of this line that is having some strong to significant winds to it. So we're going to continue to monitor for that as we go through this evening. I'm just sifting through the chats right now to see if we're going to get this extended further. It is right in the middle of the warning box, so we've probably got another couple of scans, maybe another 10 minutes or so before this thing potentially gets extended further to the east. And as we flip back to it here, I want to zoom in to show you where some of these strongest winds are. If you're in Winchester, right now is the time. You got to be down because the strongest of the winds are coming in to the city at this current moment. And I know that we also have a look from Richmond that we're going to get to in just a moment, where it is a little outside of that thunderstorm. But look at and notice how these darker greens that we got, I have the Jackson radar velocity up right now, so it's shooting at it from the south and the east, and it's catching those strong winds coming in on the front side. So anticipate some very gusty winds coming your way as we continue to look through this the rest of this evening. And I know that we're going to see this knock out trees. We've got reports of it already doing that in some areas, as well as we're probably going to be seeing some power outages, and I know Peyton's working on that right now. So we're going to just give him a chance to get that up, and we're going to take one more look at this. Again, the radar is showing the strongest part of the storm right now entering Winchester. I'll try to zoom in even a little bit further so we can see what is going on just right in on Winchester at this time. I'll even put it in the middle of the screen for you. You can see heavy rainfall coming through with this. We've got plenty of frequent lightning. The strongest part of the storm is actually on the Madison and Clark County line at this time. This is where we're going to see the chance for the largest hail. Excuse me. This is where we're going to see the chance for those strongest winds right on the front edge of this. So that's what we're keeping a close eye on. Why don't we go ahead and take that Richmond camera real quick and see what we've got coming out of there, because Richmond is actually on the outside of some showers and storms right now. Things don't look like they are. There's definitely some wind going on there. You can see the trees shaking a bit. That might even be a little bit of rain coming down, possibly some really small hail, but a gap in there. And if we pull it back to radar here, you can see that gap from on the radar here, the distance between those two thunderstorms. Here's that gap that we just saw on there. So that doesn't mean that Richmond's free, because this cell behind it is working in right now too. It's currently back in Garrett County, just north of Lancaster, where we're also seeing some pretty strong to significant readings here. The dark purples, meaning some heavy rain, possibly even some hail. And we're seeing some strong winds on the front side of this as well. Well, when we flip it back over, Peyton has an update on some power outages for you.
Yeah, and actually I just got tagged in a photo. Alumni Drive at Man of War, there's lots of trees uprooted here in Lexington. And now power outages, you can see that here behind me. 1,500 customers without power in the Fayette County area, 3,500 customers in Jessamine County, 1,500 back into Woodford County, and 8,500 customers without power in Anderson County. So you can see the path that the storms are on. I wouldn't be surprised if portions of Clark and Madison County and even down in Mercer County, or well, we have 100 right now in Mercer County, but I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see those kind of uptick over the next little bit as well. I'm going to try to get some of these pictures up on for the control so the control room can try to show them to us. But again, I have some pictures here of it. Looks like Alumni at Man of War, several trees uprooted. This comes from Jacob Davis, took this picture for us. And I'm going to try to get that up on our Apple TV feed in just a few minutes. I'm going to let the control room know. And we'll try to show that here briefly. But first, we'll go back to radar really quick while I do that. And kind of just show you exactly what's happening here. So let's go ahead. I'm going to have to step off real quick and throw this back over to the radar for us so we can get a more up-to-date look here and kind of show you still what's going on. I'll throw those warnings back on as well. Wouldn't be surprised, as Justin was saying, if we likely see this extended in the next little bit to include areas like Mount Sterling, back towards Stanton, portions of Estill County, back towards Irvin. Wouldn't be surprised at all if we start to see this extended in the next little bit, because now we are seeing these storms right in the middle of the warning box area as well. Justin?
Yeah, and the big concern that I have now too, and the reason that we're staying with you for so long on this, is because there's potential for 70+ mile-an-hour winds. And if we have reports of damage where trees are getting knocked down, even uprooted here in Lexington, as well as the surrounding communities, we don't want to let you go away from this. So we're going to stick with this until either the warnings or storms drop, or we get some less significant tags on those wind speeds. And that's why we're here. So let's just run through each warning by warning again, so you can see again. If you're in Winchester right now, or anywhere in Clark County, you need to be in your safe place. This is the storm that just moved through Lexington about 10-15 minutes ago. When I was driving in, it had some very heavy rain. The roads were ponding immediately. We had very significant winds. We already have a recorded observed wind gust of almost 60 miles an hour, and that's only when it was going through Fayette County. It's still holding together, and if not intensifying a little bit too, especially in this southern zone of Clark County and on the northern line of Madison County here. So we're going to continue to see some pretty strong wind gusts with this until 5:15 p.m. for portions of Clark as well as Madison, northern Madison counties. You have that severe thunderstorm warning with the potential of 70-mile-an-hour winds. The hail is being reported at less than an inch, but it's all radar indicated at this time. And this is the nastiest part of the storm here. I'm going to flip off that lightning scene so you can see. Look at the colors that we've got on here. I mean, this is a significant core coming in. We're starting to get even into some of our darker colors. Once we get past purple and it turns over to like an indigo or even a black, that's how we know that that's the most significant part of the storm, the strongest updraft likely there, giving us the chance for some very, very heavy rainfall to come down. And that's going to be between Elkin right now, heading into the communities of Hunt, even out a little bit further, Bloomingdale and Ruckerville. You guys are going to be right in the middle of this. It's moving towards you here, just getting out of Forest Grove and Boonesboro and Ford right now. That's inside that county line. So we're going to continue to see this storm pack quite the punch with it as it comes through. And I'm going to try to zoom it out so we can get to that other storm that's now moving out of portions of Garrett County, till 5:15, you have a severe thunderstorm warning, a separate cell doing its own thing, but still having the potential for 70-mile-an-hour winds and some larger hail. And that's moving into Madison County right now. So Richmond, you're going to be seeing this one come in the next couple of minutes. And the general storm motion has been about 40 miles an hour at this time. So it's going to likely be there here within the next 10 minutes or so, if not sooner, because it's not got a long way to go. I'm going to zoom out a little bit further as well so we can see what else is happening around the area. You can see a very strong line of storms all the way from central Indiana going all the way into western Kentucky past Evansville again. This entire line is anticipated to form together at some point here in the next couple of hours, and it's going to then swing to the east, and that's when we're going to be in play for more severe weather, even in south central portions and eastern portions of the state as these storms get going. Right now, it's a single to multi-cell environment. We've got a couple of robust storms taking over. Eventually, it is going to congeal into one line, and then we're going to see that wind threat come back. And that's why we have that severe thunderstorm watch for everybody at this time. And the latest updates, they did just extend this out. So we're going to run through this and talk about where it is and get you the details on that, because it is just moving again into Winchester, all the way down Richmond. You're about to take a nice little hit from that cell that is in just moving into northern Madison County at this time. But now we've got a severe thunderstorm warning for multiple other counties down the line from this. Montgomery County until 5:45. We have it in Bath County until the same time. It's going to include Menifee, as well as Powell County and northern parts of Estill County, and very northern parts of Estill County for us here north of Irvin. Irvin is not inside that at this time, but Stanton, Frenchburg, Mount Sterling, Owingsville, you're all going to be inside this. Again, this storm is moving to the east at roughly 40 to 45 miles an hour. Let me see if I can't get what the severe thunderstorm warning options are for this. So we have considerable wind, again, located on this storm, tagged for up to 70 miles an hour, possibly even greater at times. So we have to stick with this one too as it continues to move through. 70-mile-an-hour winds is dangerous. If you are in any of these counties right here, you are going to make sure that you need to get down. Bath, Estill, Fleming, Menifee, Montgomery, Powell, and parts of Rowan County are now inside of this too until 5:45 p.m. It hasn't entered your counties yet. Now is your chance to get into the safe place again, lowest and most interior room of the home, and get away from as many windows, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible as the storm comes in, because it is going to be packing quite a punch, and it is, to be quite frank, it's a nasty looking cell here on radar. So things are going to continue to be dangerous for us as we go through it. We're going to see some damage reports here too. We just got one out of Fayette County. A tree was down in a yard. So that is reports of tree damage. The winds are strong enough to take some of those out. We had reports of trees being uprooted too. So definitely a strong storm working through the area. We're going to continue to see this too. That cell back in Harrodsburg is even starting to kind of regenerate a little bit. It's not severe warned at this time, but it is still looking like a rather potent storm. We're going to continue to have to track this out. Oh, here, let me grab a timing for you as we go through it. And I think Peyton's setting up something else too. I think he's going to get that severe weather outlook, so he'll be back in just a second with that. But I'm going to try to get a speed on how fast these are moving. The most updated speed on this is still 45 miles an hour to the east, and we're seeing that right now, about to enter portions. It's moving just into south central Clark County, and the strongest, most robust part of the storm is going to be just south of Winchester, where this leading edge is forming out, and that's likely where we'll see the strongest winds. Now, even if you're back off here in Lexington, we're going to just want to be cautious of some gusty winds coming out of the backside of this storm too as it continues to pass by. Northern parts of Richmond are getting a good little wallop at this moment on top of that. So we're going to continue to need to monitor the situation down there in the Richmond area. Let me go ahead and pop on the velocity reading so we'll see if there's any kind of rotation, because things like this, when we get into little notches like here, we got to keep an eye out for some potential rotation in that area. So why don't we move into the Jackson velocity? And the good news for us here as we pull this up is that it doesn't look like there's a lot of rotation in this storm, at least on the leading edge, which is good news for us here. But what there is a very strong wind reading here just now to the south and east. And it's actually getting out a little bit further ahead even still, as the middle part of the storm, which is just about to get into portions of Montgomery County as well as Powell County, it looks like that front edge is just going to work in, and it is trying to outrun a little bit of that line of storms. So that is definitely where we're going to see some of the fastest winds coming out of this. And in the latest update here too, we've got some rotation near Mountain Parkway. Just barely, though. Lots of green, but hardly any red. That doesn't necessarily mean that anything is forming, but we do have some rotation in this storm that we're going to want to keep a close eye on as we go further down into the scan. So let me go ahead and back it out for you, and we're going to throw on the radar once more so we can see, and I'll run down the list again. It's because 70-mile-an-hour winds are going to be possible within these thunderstorms that we're going to have to continue to do this coverage for you as we go through the evening, because this is a nasty-looking storm on radar. So back over towards Garrett County, you still have about 10 minutes or so before your warning is expired, and there is still some very heavy rainfall there, likely seeing some pretty gusty winds with that as well as it continues to move into central Madison County, and that's till 5:15 p.m. as well. We're going to keep that going for northern parts of Madison County and Clark County, another about 10 minutes. That storm is just getting to the edge of Clark County at this time. So if you are in places, once more, like Mount Sterling, Jeffersonville, Stanton, in Montgomery County, Powell County, Estill County, even Menifee and Bath County are in a severe thunderstorm warning until 5:45 p.m. this evening. A storm moving to the east at 45 miles an hour with 70-mile-an-hour winds and the potential for some pretty potent hail. I've got Peyton over there is pulling up some damage reports. It looks like we've got a viewer photo for you as well. Peyton, why don't we show them, where is this located?
Yeah, this is actually here in Lexington, and it's kind of hard to see because of all the rain on the windshield, but this is several trees uprooted here. Alumni Drive at the Man of War area. So you can see it's obviously blocking traffic, and it looks like these cars are right up on the tree when they're trying to go around. So this is kind of the story we've been seeing across the area this evening. Lots of reports of downed trees and power lines, along with lots of hail reports as well. So we're continuing to try to keep looking through all of these reports and bring them to you. But again, this one right now was from Jacob Davis. It's at Alumni and Man of War. So several trees uprooted in this area. And again, when you have these storms like this, the damaging wind threat and the heavy rainfall, it's not hard to take these trees down. And of course, they come onto the power lines, taking out power for a lot of people as well. So we'll continue to watch this, or if you can, send us your photos, if you have them, of the severe storm damage this evening, if you can do so safely. We'll try to get them on the air as quickly as we can. But again, this is Alumni Drive near Man of War, Justin. So just kind of paints a picture for what we're seeing across the area. Obviously, I did see a report also of some trees down, or a tree down on cars in Woodford County, I believe it was, Woodford or Anderson. I'll have to go back and double check. But I mean, obviously this can be a dangerous situation if you're driving down the roadway. And Justin, you and I both know it's a holiday weekend. A lot of people are out and about doing things. They might be off Monday and Tuesday, so they're out doing 4th of July festivities and events. And unfortunately, this isn't the best time because it's Sunday, right in the heart of going into now dinner time, Justin.
Yeah, certainly. And I also need to just quickly say that earlier I pronounced it Athens, and I apologize. Athens was being hit with some severe weather. I want to
Summit area of Fayette County. So again, we are continuing to track these storms. You can see the greatest concentration locally here at the moment is from, let's say, Berea points to the north, dealing with these severe storms. But we're watching these isolated storms that are beginning to pop up back towards the west and southwest. Those could turn strong or severe at any moment. And then we have one last big line of storms that is well off to the west. This is the west of Louisville, stretches back down near Paducah in western Kentucky. That will eventually work its way west-east across the state and get to us here very soon across central and eastern Kentucky, later off into the evening as well. But again,